So for those of you that are familiar with Operation Underground Railroad, probably know what Jessica does. For those of you that are not, Operation Underground Railroad is a nonprofit organization that saves women and children and others from sex trafficking all over the world. And Jessica is primarily responsible for the aftercare for these people that are saved from that. And what she does essentially is she is one of the first that receives these people and loves them and encourages them to do something else with their lives other than sex trafficking. And so also our SEED program works with these aftercare facilities. Many of you have heard about SEED. We've talked about it a little bit in some of these classes, and we will continue to talk about it through some of the other weeks that are upcoming. So we work with them, and we work hand in hand with Operation Underground Railroad as these people are being saved. So Jessica, when she's not working, she said that she travels about 3 weeks a month out of the country. So she's only home in the United States about 1 week every single month. So imagine traveling that much. But when she is not working, she loves being outdoors, she loves rock climbing, she loves hiking, but she's passionate about frozen yogurt. And she was telling us at dinner that she actually got frozen yogurt right before she came here. And it's 7 minutes away from here, if anyone's wondering. That's exactly what she said. But we're thrilled to have Jessica here with us tonight, and we hope that you guys will be able to take away from this that you do not need to start your own company to be a successful entrepreneurial leader. And we have a short video that we're going to show before Jessica comes up here. But please welcome Jessica Mass.
So with Operation Underground Railroad, what we decided was the best way for us to be able to grow is to be able to find in-country established aftercare homes. So part of what I do is I go and I vet different aftercare homes all around the world. So before we do an operation, we go in and we find an aftercare home so that we have a place for the children to go when they're rescued. And as we build that relationship with the aftercare home, then we're able to have a really transparent relationship with them, which provides incredible aftercare. I'm trying to come home.
I'm really more focused on the aftercare because I come from a family of abuse, not anything we're seeing. But I know if you don't heal that spiritual wound, it's going to repeat over and over and over again. And when I sat at the aftercare, these kids were safe. I'm trying to come home.
Even though those children were traumatized the most, I found the most hope in that home because they were really well taken care of. The home was clean. They were trying to show them what a functioning family looks like. They're in a safe place so that their lives can continue to grow and thrive. And even though life knocks them down, and it will continue to do that, they'll know what it takes to be able to get back up. I'm trying to come home. I'm trying to come home.
We get the opportunity to send 25 more kids to school. So this is one of the things that we're doing. Some of the children in this village, they're being sexually exploited and trafficked. because they're not in school, because they're vulnerable all day long. And so we've identified that this is one of the main communities where that's happening. And so we get the opportunity to be here and to help provide hope. And why I say we is because it's you guys, and we're so grateful. Thank you so much. In the midst of what might look like hopelessness, there is hope, and there are more kids going to school and living in freedom and safety. So thank you so much. However, how many of you are familiar with carpool karaoke? James deserves a hand at all times because he is my mental health therapy. And so if somebody asks me, do you get nervous when you're speaking, and I had just been listening to James, I'm so just loving and accepting of me and who I am. And so then I'll tell you a story, something like this. Picture this. You're going all through this country sweating as if you had just taken a detour to hell because it is that hot. You're going to these different aftercare homes and you're meeting with these survivors and hearing about their dreams and what they want to do. And so you'd been doing that all day long. But that night, you're speaking at a gala for about 1,000 people. So you have 26 minutes left as you walk through the doors of the hotel. So you hop in the elevator, you go upstairs, you plug in your curling iron while you get in the shower so that the curling iron is ready to go when you get out. So you're doing really good, you get out, you still have 15 minutes left, you're so excited. And so you had used your adapter that your amazing friend gave you that was good in all countries. All countries. It's a nice fancy adapter. So what you do is you grab your curling iron thinking that you are just such a rock star because you had 26 minutes and you still have 15 minutes left, and all you need to do is curl your hair, you've got your gown on, you're ready to go. So you put the curling iron in your hair, and all of a sudden, you see this small flame. And then you smell something, and then you see that it's in your hair. So you pull out your curling iron, and you're like, ah! And your hair caught on fire because of the fancy adapter. But you're getting ready to go speak at a gala for 1,000 people, and your hair is gone. So my friend hears me yell, ah! And she comes running in, and she's like, oh my goodness, what happened? And I'm like, my hair's gone! And I just started laughing uncontrollably. Because my hair's gone, what do? For 2.5 seconds, you're thinking, I wonder if super glue could keep this back in my hair. Maybe I should give that a try. And that lasts for 2.5 seconds because you're thinking, that is not an extension, that does not work, you can't just glue your hair back into your head suddenly. So you give it up, you pull your hair back, you're like, all right, ready to go. And just in case you're wondering, that's what it looked like, and that's just a small piece of what was left. So I was able to get the rest of it in. This is in the country following where we were at in Africa, so this is the following country. But the hair was gone. I just want to prove that you can see that some of the hair was gone. I thought that my friend was taking a picture. One of our ops guys was taking a picture being kind. He was like, hey, just stand there for a minute. And I was like, okay. Yeah, he was like, haha, look, your hair's gone. And I'm like, yeah, I know. The story doesn't stop there, though. So I made it to the gala, still thinking like I'm a rock star because I was early, and most galas don't start on time in foreign countries. Even in the United States, if you've been to any, you're like, is this ever going to start? So it didn't start on time, but the night before, there's this amazing little boy that I asked to come to the gala with me because he could come and sit with me and we'd get to spend more time together. So he's this incredible little boy. So I'm in the front. If this was the stage, I'd be right around here. And I'm sitting there, and for about a half an hour, he's on my lap, and we are playing an educational game on my phone. Educational, not just any other game. So it was an educational game. I was doing a good job. And about a half an hour in, I feel something on my lap. And I'm like, wow, that's warm. I'm like, huh. And then I'm like, oh, that's not warm, that's wet. And I'm like, oh no. So I pick up my cute, darling little boy, and I see that my gala dress has a nice #1 circle all around. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm getting ready to speak. My hair is gone. My dress literally has urine on it. So I run back, and I went from this blue dress to wearing that on stage because my friend was willing to give me her dress, and she created her own ensemble. So if somebody asks me if I get nervous when I'm speaking, I'm like, well, I'm probably not going to have a fire in my hair or urine on my clothes. I think I'll be all right. So why do I take the time to tell you this story? Because I'm going to take you to some really dark places tonight. The subject of human trafficking isn't light. It's hard to think about children being raped. It's hard to really be engaged. But I want you to know from this story that you can do this type of a job or volunteer in this type of thing, and you can come out of it smiling, full of joy, full of hope, and you can laugh about how you've got urine on your clothes and your hair's gone, and you can keep going. So that's why I start with that type of story. Because yes, this is the fastest growing criminal enterprise in the world. Children are being trafficked in this state and in every other country around. We could tell you stories from all over, and I'll tell you stories and I'll share with you many things, but please know that you can do this and you can remain full of joy and full of hope, and you're going to hear some of the stories as to why you can end up full of hope. So when I say fastest growing criminal enterprise in the world, I'm talking $150 billion per year. That's a lot of money. And so there's many reasons why people get trafficked, and money is one of them. They say it's a lucrative business. I can sell you drugs once, but I can sell you a child again and again and again. We've worked with victims of trafficking that have been sold 30, 40 times a day. And so what it does to their little bodies, you can only imagine. And so when you talk about someone going from just a number, that's what they're thinking. They're thinking you're a dollar sign. Let me tell you how much I'm worth. I'm worth $5 an hour. I'm worth $20 an hour. Versus I am a strong, powerful person that has hopes and dreams. So the journey that they have to go on, that's where they start. Is somebody put a dollar sign on them. The United States is the #1 consumer and producer of child pornography. There's a connection between child pornography and trafficking. A lot of the kids that we work with, they're forced to be filmed. They're forced to have these different acts performed on them. And then the traffickers are like, well, I can sell you again and again and again, but I'm not just going to make money on you right now. I'm also going to film you. So that way I can sell you online as well. So when we say trafficking still exists, I want you to meet a girl named Anna. And Anna is an amazing young girl. I was a foster parent for 2 years for kids that had been trafficked. So I had about 25 children live with me throughout those 2 years. But Anna changed everything in how I saw the challenges that people really go through. So Anna was 6 months old when her parents started trafficking her. They advertised her on Craigslist, and then they had a film studio set up in their basement. So men would show up at their door, they would escort them down the stairs, and their little baby's sitting there on a table. And while the men would do different things and sexually abuse this little girl, they would also film it. For the first 4 years of Anna's life, that's all she knew. Her parents, the ones that are supposed to be her protectors. Her parents, the ones that are supposed to say, no one will hurt you, you will be safe as long as I'm around. They're the ones that said, I'm going to turn you into a dollar sign. And Anna's story definitely is not one that you don't hear over and over again. Anna changed my view because she was 6 years old when she came to live with me. And when the first 4 years of your life are spent being sold again and again and again, the mental health trauma alone that she had to go through to help her to start to heal was so deep and so long that it wasn't a quick fix. What it takes really, though, in aftercare for people to say, all right, somebody goes from being sold as a 6-month-old baby to healing, is it's people coming alongside, saying, I'll do life with you. I'm going to walk beside you. And anyone can do that. I believe that everyone in here can be someone's hero. Because you have the ability to love. You have this gift that is so far beyond what you even know. If you have even the slightest idea of what real love is, that love isn't buying and selling somebody. It's saying, hey, let's sit at a table together and have dinner. I can't tell you how many kids sat with me at a table and started crying. And I didn't know why. I thought maybe my macaroni and cheese just really sucked, which is a possibility. I'm not in denial. Yes, I've started many fires. That's a whole nother story, not just in my hair. But I thought maybe it was just the macaroni and cheese they didn't like. And what I actually found out is so many of them, as they were being trafficked and they were in so much just survival mode, nobody ever sat down with them at a table and just simply shared a meal with them and said, you're valuable. Whatever you want to talk about, your kindergarten class, where you colored pictures, that matters. That doesn't take a hero of what we normally think about. That takes you. I'm going to guess that the majority of you in here, if I was to say, are you willing to sit down at a table and give the resource you have of time and energy to someone that doesn't know what love is because they've never experienced it, I'm going to guess the majority of you would say, I can do that. I'll spend my $5, $10, whatever it is, and sit down and have a meal with you. You have that power right now. And I love talking to students. Because I feel like with students, you guys are already in that mindset of what do I want to do with my life? What impact do I want to have? And you can have that type of impact. So as you're thinking about your jobs and your careers, don't ever underestimate yourself, thinking that you don't have something to give if you have the gift of love. So I'll be the first to tell you that I know nothing about being a millionaire. And I'll also tell you that I've sat in the circles with many millionaires. And it takes resource and passion. It takes both. And I have watched a lot of the other speakers, and I am so grateful for people that can take their idea and make it into a business and go on to be very successful financially. And the people that inspire me as well are the people that don't just take an idea or a business, but they take that idea and they say, what impact do I want to have? So if first you believe that you have a resource of love and time and energy, and you say, what is it that I'm passionate about? Obviously, you guys know I'm passionate about frozen yogurt. That was already given away, and yes, it's true, I have frozen yogurt every day. It is also part of my mental health therapy. Between carpool karaoke and frozen yogurt, I'm doing okay. But I'm passionate about helping survivors of human trafficking heal from what they've been through. And Anna's one of those reasons why I'm so passionate. And it doesn't have to be human trafficking that you're necessarily passionate about. It doesn't have to be aftercare or helping somebody heal, but find something that you personally are passionate about that is whatever cause it is. And then figure out how you can get involved. So, even though I'm not a millionaire, we work with lots of people that have a lot of resources. The Maloof Foundation, who you guys heard Casey and Sam Maloof speak, they created their business, but they also have their foundation that helps survivors of human trafficking. There's many organizations like that. So right now, as your students, I just encourage you, start to think about, if I was to become a millionaire, and I was to have a successful business, what is it that I would want my cause to be? And be intentional about it. Sometimes I think we kind of float through life and we're like, oh, yeah, like it'll just work out. My personality is very much like, oh yeah, like life's awesome, it'll work out. But when we're intentional and we pick things, then we can go after it with the end goal in mind. Where it's like, okay, if I create this business and that equals this, these are the people that I want to help, and this is how I'm going to do it along the way. So I'm going to share a few more stories with you. And these stories, like Anna's story, are challenging, and that's why I encourage you to stay fully engaged with the things that they've been through, even if it's just for this hour that we're talking. I just encourage you to be fully present. That's one of my keys, is that I'm fully present wherever I am. If I'm in Africa burning off my hair, I try to be fully present there. If we are with survivors in Peru, being fully present. If you're in Utah, being fully present. And so I just encourage you and I ask that you be fully present with these stories, even though they're really difficult to hear. So Mary, she's a world changer. And I'm sharing Mary's story with you because I also believe that there are other people in this room that will have an incredible impact in other people's lives. Mary never thought she would be a world changer, though. Mary grew up in Kenya. She was in a middle-class family. She got married to a wonderful man. They had a great relationship. They had some children. Everything was going pretty well for Mary. And then one night, someone broke into their house and murdered her husband in front of her. She lived through it, but unfortunately, she became a key witness in this trial. And even though she was put into a witness protection program, the people that were in his circle that killed her husband, they were coming after her. And they're like, we can get through the corruption, we can find people, and we are going to kill you because you are the key witness. So Mary had to flee to another country in Africa. She had to leave her children behind, and she had to go into another area where she would be safe. So she was there for a few years, but she wasn't making enough money in order to provide for her children. So she heard about a job in the Middle East. And it's this employment agency, and they come around and they say, I know that you're really struggling, but there's a job over there and you can make so much money. I'm going to pay for your ticket. I've got it all set up. Just come. It's going to be amazing. All of your dreams are going to come true. You're not going to have any more financial issues. So Mary gets on a plane. She goes over to the Middle East, and somebody meets her at the airport. At the airport, they take her passport away from her so that they can check her in. She never sees that passport again. Mary gets taken into a home where she is literally a slave. She's forced to work 18 hours a day. She gets bread and water at 6 p.m. And she's forced to do sexual acts on whoever, whenever they tell her to. These types of sexual acts are so graphic and so disturbing that I won't share them. But that's what kind of situation that she was put in, all in hopes that she would be able to take care of her children because her husband was murdered. She was put in witness protection, had to flee that country to another country, only to be trafficked to the Middle East in hopes of employment. Mary was able to escape the home that she was being held as a slave in, and she found this amazing family that said, we're going to help you get back all of your documentation, because what happens is when people escape, if they don't have their passport and their documentation showing that they're there illegally, they're arrested and they're put in prison. And so Mary didn't have to go to prison because this family actually helped her get documentation. So they're going to help her get back to her country in Kenya. But Mary was like, you know what? I can't do that because I know that there are 700 women being held in this prison that are victims of trafficking. And if I don't help them, who's going to? If I don't stand up for justice for them, then who will? So instead of Mary going back and living her life and forgetting about what happened to her, to saying that was awful and I never want anything to do with it again, Mary now works for a home where she still does a lot of domestic cleaning and serving and things like that, but it's a fair wage. She's treated well. She has a family that actually cares about her. But what she does is she takes all of the money that she earns and she uses it for transport, and she uses it to help women get their passports back. I'm meeting somebody like that, like Mary, that had that situation in life. And I'm sitting down with her. I remember we sat down, we were sitting on one of the curbs, and she's telling me about how amazing her life is. She's been through all of these things, but she's like, I literally I've been given the opportunity by God. This is what she said. I've been given the opportunity by God to help these women become free. She goes into the prison. I went into the prison with her, and you see these women that are desperate for hope and help. There's one woman that we helped get home who had been held in prison for 7 years. So not only was she trafficked and had gone through all of these things, but then she gets put in prison and she was told that no one's going to come for you. You don't have family that's wealthy. You don't have anyone that cares about you. You will sit here and you will rot until you die. And so you talk about hope, though. When that girl got home, when her flight landed, and when she got off that plane, she goes around telling all of the other girls, and as many as she can, about these false employment agencies that are trafficking women and children to different countries in order to force them to be slaves in their homes. She took her story, what she could have been bitter about, what she could have said, I don't want to ever talk about again, and she uses it to empower other people. Shannon, her life will never be the same. She went through a similar situation. However, Shannon, she was sitting in the home. She had been through awful things. She was still being held in slavery, literally, in this home in the Middle East. And she said, I'm going to kill myself. I can't do it anymore. And so she was telling me how she was looking for a rope to hang herself. And she couldn't find anything. She tried to tie her bed sheets together and it wouldn't work. She tried all these things. And she said, all right, God, fine. Like, if I can't kill myself, then I need you to help me escape tomorrow. So the following day, there was a window that she was able to get out of. She goes screaming and running down this street, hoping that someone will help her, hoping that someone will say, I'll help you. And there's this amazing couple from Ireland that's living there right now. And they heard this woman screaming and crying. And they actually reached out and they brought her into their home. And the trafficker had sent their driver to follow her and to find out where she was. And the trafficker's driver showed up at these people's door, pounding on the door. Give us our slave back. She's ours. We own her. And this couple in their 20s, young married couple, said, over my dead body, will you get through this door and ever hurt her again? Everyday heroes. They didn't have this background. They weren't expecting to have to show some type of compassion or love, but they had been building their character over years and years so that when somebody came knocking in need of help, their door was open and they were willing to stand, and even to the point of saying, we're going to help her. When Shannon got back, I got a chance to meet with her because one of the things that we do is we help people build businesses. Because 80% of victims of trafficking, if they don't have a livable income to go back to, are sexually exploited again. So think about it. So you rescue somebody like Shannon. She gets back to her home country, but she gets back to a situation that she left because she was in poverty. So what we do is we help them create businesses. We help them find ways to make money, to have livable skills, because if she doesn't, she has an 80% chance of getting trafficked again. Because you have to have some form of a livable income. And so Shannon, the reason why she was even going in the first place is because her dream was to be a child educator. So we were able to get her into a program where she was learning different skills on how to do early education. You talk about somebody that loves their whatever type of vocational training or university or college. Shannon loved school. Maybe all of you in this room love school. I mean, you guys are like, I get there 20 minutes early for every class, and you're just so excited, and you're just soaking in everything the professor's saying. Or maybe you were like me, and at times I thought university would never end. I remember one time I ordered pizza that got delivered in the back, and I was like, this is great, I've got my pizza, and I'm sure the professor's saying something. But Shannon, on the other hand, she was so excited. She loved school. She graduated. She's so proud of herself. She's young, but she has an 11-year-old as well. And so her 11-year-old wasn't able to go to school, but we were able to pay for school fees for him to be in school as well. Shannon is now working at a place where she's educating small children. But it wasn't enough for her just to be working with children. She was like, I want to work with the kids that are at most risk of being trafficked or hurt And she's so full of joy. I remember meeting with her. And I share some of the stories where they mention God because it fascinates me. Because she said to me, through it all, through the times I was being trafficked, when I wanted to commit suicide and kill myself and end it all, when I lost all hope, I just knew God was always there with me. He's so faithful. I just sit there sometimes and I'm like, whatever your faith is in, it blows my mind sometimes that people are able to keep their faith in something. And that they're able to sing and have so much joy. Shannon sends me videos all the time of her singing. I got a message yesterday, and it's a 2-minute long message. It's actually 2 minutes and 31 seconds to be exact. And she sends it, and she's just singing the whole time. I keep thinking, like, all right, like there's some request that's going to come in, and there's some like specific information. She's like, nope, just full of joy and just singing. And that's Shannon. Paul, he's one of my personal heroes. He was trafficked in South America. Horrible situation where his parents were swingers, and so there was many people that came into his home while he was growing up. One of those people decided that they were going to start using him to steal cell phones, to rob people on the streets, and eventually they got him hooked on drugs and alcohol by the age of 10. And so then they started selling him out and making money off of him. One night he was in an alley by himself and he was just wasted. And because he was so drunk and vulnerable in general, he was gang raped by 5 teenage boys. And his rescue obviously looks very different because he was rescued after that happened because somebody found him in an alley and they thought he was dead. However, this is why survivors just amaze me. He had an aftercare home that we vetted and worked with and partnered with. And as these people came around and loved him and helped him to start to heal and started to help him know you have value and worth and you can do so many things. It's somebody that Paul, he didn't even know how to dream. He didn't know how to say, this is what I want to do when I grow up. Probably most of you in this room have been asked that question at some point in your life. What do you want to do when you grow up? Paul never had that question asked even to him. So when we said, what's your dream? He's like, I don't know. I don't really have a dream. I don't know what that concept is. And so eventually, through time and through people showing him real love, showing him that he does matter, he decided that he wanted to learn how to play guitar. So right now, Paul's learning how to play guitar. Things like that where you could have had somebody that was left in an alley to die, or you can have somebody that's full of passion and joy, that what it took was the resource of humans. Please don't ever forget that there's no replacement for human love and interaction. When you're working with people, technology is awesome. There's so many things that we can do with technology, but there's no such thing as replacing humans. You have the abilities that are so fascinating, and I use that word because it's so interesting what we can give to each other that's pure, that doesn't have a hidden agenda. You think about a 10-year-old who's addicted to drugs and alcohol and an aftercare home that comes around him. They don't have a hidden agenda other than to help him. And everybody can have that type of character through time, through what you do now. Character is built one day at a time, right? So what we do now and how we treat people now matters on how we do business in the future, how we do relationship in the future. 130 victims being held by a religious radical group. And I won't go into a lot of the details of the story because of some of the sensitivities of the case. But there's 130 children, teenagers, girls that were impregnated by their trafficker, and young women being held. And it was in a religious building. And so what would happen is they would hold the kids inside this building, and then they'd have people come in, and you could rape a child while you were in there as part of the religious type of ceremony that they were doing. And if the person decided that they didn't want to be raped, then they had this huge circle in the middle, and they would throw the children into the hole, and they'd have to stay down there for 2 to 3 days until they decided that they would change their behavior. So when we talk about somebody being rescued, I say 130, that's a lot of people, but they're all individuals. They all have an individual story, name, passion, dream. And I remember when I was sitting down with some of the boys, because the boys were trained to be child soldiers. So not only were they being sexually exploited, they were also being taught how to hold a gun when they're 2 years old. Some of the kids that had to murder their parents as they're getting trained, things like this, that they're telling me about these stories of what they've been through. And I haven't been through anything like that. Maybe somebody in here has, but I haven't been through something like that. And so when they're telling me their stories, what I can give them is compassion, empathy, and the ability to continue to grow through their journey. But with these 130, you actually see life transformation. You actually see somebody that was taught how to hold a gun at the age of 2 can actually have a life-transforming experience because of people loving him, that now he has these other dreams. There's this one kid that really stands out because he loved art, and he wanted to be an artist, and he was actually really good. Maybe some of you are artists. I'm not. And so he started drawing, and he wanted to create a business out of his artwork. And with somebody coming alongside him and empowering him to do that, he actually can. So when society says there's no hope for somebody that has been sexually exploited, has been forced to be a child soldier, has gone through all of these experiences, I say there's always hope. I've seen some of the worst situations possible. Some of the most dark and damaging things that have been done to kids. And some of the most hopeful things. One thing that I always get so excited about is when somebody that starts a business or owns a company or whatever it is, when they say, I want to hire survivors of trafficking. And they say that because they're like, I know that person's been through a lot, and I know that somebody has spoken truth into their life as to who they really are. And anyone can do that. Sometimes that's taking your business and you create within it a training program. You don't have to advertise that it's for victims of trafficking. Maybe you advertise that it's something for people that haven't had formal education, but there's skills that you're teaching them. There's different ways to be innovative on how you're doing your own business, where you can also empower others that might not have been given the same opportunities. If I was to ask you, what are the 2 most challenging things that you've ever been through in your life? Most painful, hard things. You or your family. And you start to think about those things. Sometimes these survivors They live with that title over their head. And so when you have somebody that's been through so much and they start to have that title taken off, and they're no longer defining themselves as, I've been trafficked, but they say, I am a survivor, I'm a thriver, I'm a business owner, I am somebody's friend, I have done this. You're helping empower somebody to have the title put over their head be something that's different than what a trafficker put over their head. This is our jump team. So for those of you that aren't super familiar with Operation Underground Railroad, we were started by Tim Ballard. And he was a former agent that worked in government for 12 years and did an amazing job at fighting trafficking with the government. And then he left the government and started OUR. And we've been around for about 5 years. And so we have a team of former CIA, Homeland Security, FBI, law enforcement that partners with different law enforcements of that country. So we don't go in and say, we're here and we're going to do black ops and we're going to come in and we're going to steal children and call that a rescue. We don't do that. What we do is we always partner with the law enforcement of that country, and the law enforcement are the ones that arrest people. We might help with the undercover side of things, with finding traffickers, with setting up the buys and the deals or things like that, but we always work with law enforcement. We always work with the government. And we do that because we believe that honor and integrity are things that you get one chance at. And so you don't ever go in with thinking, well, I'm the person that knows what to do and I know it's going to work in every country because I have this background. And when you take away the arrogance of that and you say, how can we partner and how can we help, then children are rescued from trafficking. So that is a really basic summary of what our team does as far as the operation side. So when an op happens, this is what it looks like. So undercovers happen, the case is built so that when the traffickers are arrested, there's actually going to be a case against them. Because if you arrest a trafficker but you don't have a case, then they get out, then your wheels just keep on spinning. So as the case is being built, sting operation, the day that it's going to happen, SWAT team, law enforcement, they go in, and then our aftercare team or us with local social workers, we go in right behind the SWAT team, and the law enforcement, bad guys go with law enforcement, and then the children and the survivors come with us. And that's when the healing really starts, is from that moment. And we believe that having a victim-centered approach right at that time is really important so that you're not re-traumatizing people during an op or during a rescue. So from there, they go to medical services, things such as finding out if somebody's pregnant, making sure that if they have any medical issues that need to be tended to right away, that they're dealt with right away so that they can start having the best quality of care. And that's why we partner with in-country aftercare homes. We could go all over the world and create aftercare homes and build hundreds of aftercare homes, but we would be wasting a lot of money and time and resources. But if we can collaborate together, whether you're doing business in the future with a for-profit, normal job, do everything you can to collaborate. I've worked in so many countries, and I will not name any specifics, but you feel like there's been millions and millions of dollars that have gone into the same project. And if we would have just dropped our pride and our ego and we didn't care whose name got put over the door, we actually can have an impact on people's lives. the project can move forward. Maybe you're digging a well. Maybe you're helping with natural energy. Whatever it is, if we collaborate together and we don't care who gets the credit, then people's lives are actually impacted. And people in this world, we all need each other. We're on this journey together. And as that sounds so idealistic, there's so much truth in it. Collaboration, saying, hey, if you do this and I do this and we don't care who gets the credit, then people start businesses. That's why I love the Seeds program. The Seeds program has been amazing for us because you guys have a program that's already built in to do entrepreneurship skills, to teach somebody how to have a business. And it's not extra funds that OUR is paying because it's already a program. So if Seeds gets credit for a survivor going from rescue to having her own business, or if OUR gets credit, or whoever gets credit, if that doesn't matter but the human being matters, that's when real impact happens. So the more you can collaborate with each other on anything, I just encourage you, pick good people. Pick people with character that's built one day at a time. My story of how I got to be where I am, people ask me about that a lot, was not built overnight. I worked in nonprofit for 18 years now. And even before that, my first job, I'm not sure if this was a dry campus, so I was going to bring an example of a beer can, but I don't know if it is or not, so I didn't want to break the rules. So my first job, I was 13 years old, and I was determined that I was going to go to New York City in order to serve in the Bronx, in the inner city, in the projects for a summer. And so while I was convinced I was going to go there, there was this financial gap as a 13-year-old that I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get from here to here. But I found out that there was this recycling job that I could get, and it was recycling beer cans. I come from a very conservative Midwest family that does not have alcohol in their home. And so I was 13 years old and strong. I was determined that I needed to do whatever business job I could do because I had an end goal in mind. So my determined little 13-year-old self walked myself over to the recycling center, and I recycled beer cans for a few months in order to make money, in order to go on this mission to New York City to serve at the different places there. I hated that job. Oh my goodness. You go home smelling like beer and you're like, hey Dad. He's like, what is that? And you're like, oh, nothing. Promise, like I'm actually just recycling. Like that's all. I can say it was true. I hope they believed me. I think they did. My second job, I was 14 years old, and I worked at Burger King. And I worked at Burger King because I knew I had to pay for the private high school that I wanted to go to, because the private high school that I found went on their lunch breaks to go and serve at the local bar down the street for people that were already drunk by noon in order to see how we could help and serve them. So I was like, I have to go to that high school. I don't want to work at Burger King, but I have to go to this high school, so I'm going to make that happen so I can make this happen so that we can go to the bar at noon as a high school student. I don't know if that's legal or not either, but I loved it, and I was so passionate about it that working in the drive-thru at Burger King was worth it. Recycling beer cans was worth it. So I'm what some people call an elderly millennial. I'm right on the edge of being a millennial, and so I see both worlds and I get it. So I understand a lot of times, like millennials, we get this reputation of it's you only do what you're passionate about, and if you're not passionate about it for more than 5 days, you quit. So I understand that, like I get it, and at the same time, I would say work at the recycling center, work at Burger King, work for 18 years in nonprofit so that you can get to your goals. And don't be afraid, and don't ever think that you're above something of taking out the trash or whatever it is, because it really is somebody, when you come with a humble heart and willing hands, you will have an impact and you will change this world, and that your life matters, that your individual life matters. And then also, I know time is running out, but life is a limited experience. You get choices. You're in the driver's seat right now, but your life is a limited experience, so be intentional. Pick what you want to do with your life as far as how you want to make a difference. And sometimes that's a daily experience. It's having eye contact with somebody. It's a smile. It's showing respect for the person checking you out at the grocery store line and checking out your groceries. It's showing kindness to the homeless person on the street. So remember that your life is a limited experience. You're in the driver's seat. Do whatever you can. And while you're empowering your own dreams, empower other people's dreams as well. Thank you.
We have time for 2 people to ask Jessica questions, but please stay in your seats until we give Jessica her gifts.
Are there any questions? Yes.
What is your, I guess, organization doing as far as not just like child trafficking, but maybe possibly adult trafficking as well? Do you guys do that up mostly with different law enforcement organizations and agencies, or do you have an active part in that?
We have a very active part in people that are over the age of 18 as well, and actually something that I'm very personally passionate about. Because sometimes people say, oh, if they're a child, we're going to have compassion, but if they're 20, it was their fault and their choice and things like that, and that's absolutely not true. And so, yes, we have an active part in helping people that are adults as well. There's a woman that we recently worked with going through a 12-week business class who's amazing, and she's 65 years old. It started when she was very young of being raped and sexually exploited, and nobody came for her. So her story was, I'm 65 now, and who's going to have compassion for me? And she went through the 12-week business class, and she's amazing. She takes her kids with her to work. She has a stand, like a restaurant, little taco type of stand, and she's so proud to have her kids stand next to her, because before, when her kids were next to her, it was in a brothel. Now she's showing them what it looks like to be a strong business owner. In the back? Oh, just yoga. Yes.
What can we do right now as college students to help with a program like Operation?
That is a great question. That is my last slide that I didn't get to. But let me show you just, it goes one by one. Comic relief right there. So how you can get involved. So you can go to our website and click Join the Fight. You can become an abolitionist with a monthly donation. You can volunteer. Our abolitionist program is amazing. It's $5 a month that you donate, which is incredible. It's where a lot of our donations come from. So if you want to do that, but you can volunteer. It's amazing. You can also go on and take our free online course. We have an online training that's a free training that you can know how to spot and identify victims of trafficking and what to do. And so if you can't do anything else and you take an hour out of your time or out of your day to just take the course, that's amazing, because then you become educated on what to do and how to identify somebody that's being trafficked. The worst feeling in the world, in my opinion, is to feel like you see somebody that's being trafficked and not know what to do. And so instead of knowing what to do, you'll be empowered to know what to do. We also have a documentary on Amazon Prime that just came out, and it's called Operation Toussaint. You can go on and watch that as well. It's about one of our operations in Haiti. So by becoming educated, even if you guys know, the things that you think about, the things you're watching, talking about, they come out in your conversations. So even if you're like, oh yeah, I just saw this documentary, I can tell you the last documentary that I watched, and I talked about it today because it's on my mind. And so just by watching the Operation Tucson and just having that on your mind, it starts to come out in your normal conversations. So those are some ways that you can help out. This hotline number, if you guys put this in your phone and that was the only thing that you did, that would be amazing. So if you saw somebody that you thought was being trafficked or a situation, that's the United States number that you would call. So you call them, you can report anonymously. It seems like it's going to be scary. I was a little scared the first time I called, like, okay, like what are they gonna ask me? And you just answer whatever questions that you want. You can report what you want, but it's a way that you feel empowered so that you're not putting yourself in a dangerous situation, yet you can still report it. Thank you.
We have 2 gifts for you tonight, Jessica. This first gift is just a little taste of Cache Valley. There's some treats and food in there from local businesses around here. And the second gift is a gift from Serenoni Blanket. It's a local blanket company here. And embroidered on it, we have the quote from Mother Teresa. It says, "The only cure for loneliness, despair, and hopelessness is love. There are many in the world who are dying for a piece of bread, but there are many more dying for a little love." And we know that that quote epitomizes what you do. Thank you so much, Jessica, for coming to speaking with us tonight.